how to walk, talk, cook, and kill people. It was funny. We're going to do a super greens pie. Yes, it has superpowers. It will give you superpowers. Oddly, with all these greens, my kids love it. Hated by some, no doubt. The most wonderful thing about it is you can ad-lib and change and put whatever greens you want in there, because basically the process is the same. First and foremost, I have got Swiss chard, silver beet, Swiss chard, this guy, the white stemmed guy, whatever you call it. Just remove the leaves. Here's a tip. I like to hold it face down and just slide my knife along the edge. It doesn't matter if you end up getting those top bits. We're not going to throw these away because I actually want to chop them up, saute them with the onion, a lovely little crunchy addition to our pie. You may be alarmed by the quantity of greens, but we all know the story with spinach. You start with a truckload and end with a spoonful. Okay, so on goes our heat. Medium, a good, I've been saying slug of oil. Is it slug or is it lug? Glug, you say glug? Fuck knows. I think I ended up with about 2 tablespoons in there. That's gonna go straight in. All those stems are gonna saute down a little bit, which is gonna be lovely. Do a whole onion. Here's a little tip for cutting onion. Cut it in half this way, butt down here and the top here. Now keep that root butt attached because that's gonna give you some stability. Take off that top bit. We don't need that. Peel that top skin off. We're going to slice in this way, not all the way, just enough so that we're as close as we can without slipping through, and it will keep it all nicely held together. Don't go all the way. 2 slices in our onion. We are going to slice this way. So to where you had to finish. This little butt end is doing all the hard work and holding it together. We can simply hold it down at that butt end and cut. And then when you get to the butt, face it down, trim it. We aren't doing Michelin star cookery here. In this mound of deliciousness, I have garlic. So maybe 3. I often preach seasoning everything as it goes in the pan. Okay. So the oven has gone on to 180 degrees. The pastry is in the fridge. But I have defrosted puff pastry and short crust. That's going to make up the 2 outer layers of our pie. You'll notice I have chopped this garlic quite big and chunky. 3 cloves of chopped garlic in. Growing up on a farm, you would smell this and it would call you in. So this is doing a lovely little saute. It's quite a soft saute. So this recipe has 2 eggs. Kind of a binder. May not need it if you didn't want to include egg. Now, this is still sauteing along nicely. We're quickly going to beat these. Reserve a teaspoon or a tablespoon of this to make our egg wash. Someone remind me. Yeah, this looks lovely. We are going to add what feels like baskets of chard. It will wilt down into that pie, mixed with all the cheese and herbs. It'll break down even further. Rustically cut. That's going to go in. You want those spinach leaves to wilt down. Overcrowd the pan, that's absolutely fine. That layer basically keeping as much moisture in there. And in the meantime, despine the kale. In that time, this has already started to relax and disappear. I am always alarmed about how many greens go into this, but that's why we call it a super greens pie. Again, very rustically cut. I have 500 grams of ricotta here. It's quite a wet ricotta. About 200 grams of feta. A little bit of a stir. Kale is a much drier leaf. That's actually starting to stick just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is dump in 250 grams of thawed frozen spinach. And that's just adding that little bit of moisture. All right, that's going to go off. So we have crumbled our feta in, almost all of it. About half a cup of grated Parmesan. I am going to add some lovely pungent flavors because right now we don't really have too much flavor. That other little layer is what we're really looking for. Again, the rustic chop. I have removed the very base end. They go into a little glass for my rabbit. The dill and the parsley chopped. That is going to go into our cheese bowl. I didn't do this in the book, but I'm adding oregano. Now this is one herb I do think you should de-stem because they can be quite woody, sometimes full of dirt. Now, spring onions. So I've got 3 spring onions. Even though we've got the onion in there, this just adds a kind of fresher flavour. As much as I know how to make this pie, I don't think I've ever made it the same twice. If you would like to add rosemary, do that. If you would like to add broad beans or asparagus, it's all a kind of choose your own adventure situation, as with most of my recipes. I'm going to add this egg, remembering, thank you for reminding me, remembering that we want to keep about a spoon, a tablespoon or a teaspoon of this beautiful egg as our egg wash. Pour gently in. It's still quite hot. We have thawed pastry, puff and short. I forgot to add the zest of a lemon, which I'm going to do the whole lemon. You don't want to get into that white bit. The white bit's the bitter bit. I've had to move these sauteed greens out of their frying pan. It just wasn't cooling down. All of this cheese, egg and herb mixture here, which will revolt many people just as much as the fact that I don't wear an apron when I cook will. Plug it. Clean hands are going in. So good. These are the best utensils ever. They know exactly what you're thinking and can report back. Lined tray with baking paper. I am going to use short crust, beautiful handmade one. Remove the plastic. It's probably too long for what I need. I'm just going to let it hang over the edge for a minute. There's a lot of filling. It's going to be a bit of a mound. You are going to need to leave an edge of pastry clear. When we add our layer of puff, we want enough pastry edge to be able to roll and seal it properly. Okay, look, see, papa, you can see overhead. I don't know why I'm showing you. The puff layer. The puff layer is a little bit smaller because usually your short crust layer would form the base crust of your pie and the puff layer would just be used as the top. In this situation, our short crust is the flat layer and our puff is the rounded layer. Should have done this before, given those edges a brush with our egg wash. So I have made my egg wash with just that remnant of egg and water. I'm also going to do a little, I'm just going to roll the edges over. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? Let's see if this works. Flipping my pan. Now I have a flat plate. Handy little tip. I'm going to score this. I like to score it quite robustly. Let's go a little bit more fancy, hey? Sesame seeds, you could use poppy seeds, you could use a spice, you could confuse the crap out of everyone. Top it with coffee crystals, sugar. All right, this is gonna go into the oven, which we have preheated at 180 degrees fan. We're just gonna cook it until it's golden and puffy. Then we're gonna dive in and eat some. Stay here, it'll be like that. Ready? 1, 2. And here it is. 25 minutes for you in real time. And look, our upside down tray worked a treat, like magic. Yum! This pie is gonna need chunks of lemon onto your piece. I'm also gonna add, much to quite possibly the offense of the origins of this pie, a little bowl of mayo and sriracha. I know, don't at me. Oh, she's beautiful, she's beautiful. Little fancy loop. How good does that look? With a ton of greens. Veggie, delicious. Well, no one else is here, so I'm gonna dip. You could make it early and just bring it cool. It's delicious cool. Meat Free Monday. Add your spin on it, DM me about it, do all the things you should about it, including eat it and love it. I'm going again because it's kind of like an S&M thing. Keep adding to the heat.